It's no longer about being part of the blue, the red, the orange, or green team. It's about recognizing that there's so much that unites us. This is my proudest achievement as a leader of this party, building a new coalition, expanding our base, creating a more inclusive party where everyone matters.
Get it done. That was Doug Ford's mantra in the Ontario election, and he over-delivered, leading his progressive Conservatives to a massive 83-seat majority government, gaining more seats in the legislature than he did in 2018 and literally knocking out his two main opponents, NDP leader Andrea Horwath and Liberal leader Stephen Del Duca. They both resigned on election night.
It's time for me to pass the torch, to pass the baton, to hand off the leadership of the NDP. And you know what? It makes me sad, but it makes me happy because our team is so strong right now.
I have no doubt that the women and men that Ontario Liberals have elected to the legislature will do their part. In fact, will do more than their part to help grow a new and energetic progressive movement here in Ontario. It will, however, be a movement that will be led by a new leader.
The NDP still remain the official opposition, though severely diminished, but it was a total wipeout for the Liberals. With a paltry 8 seats, they failed to regain official party status, which they lost back in 2018. So what went right for the PCs and what went wrong for the opposition? After 8 private sector unions endorsed the Ford Conservatives, is there a permanent realignment in the voting blocks in Canada's biggest province? Let's find out. Joining me now, CTV political commentator, former NDP leader Tom Mulcair, Scott Reid, CTV political analyst and former director of communications to Prime Minister Paul Martin and conservative strategist. Used to work with Aaron O'Toole when he was the leader, Melanie Paradis. Okay, wow. Ontario election. What does it mean not only in Ontario, but what does it mean for the country? Mel, your top line, what was the story of that election and what does it tell us? What's the big takeaway?
So I think that the big success of this election for Doug Ford has been his work to rebuild, alongside Monty McNaughton, his work to rebuild the relationships that Conservatives have long allowed to fall by the wayside with unions and with laborers, in particular with the working class. So this is a resurgence of the Conservatives standing up for blue-collar workers, and they showed up to vote for him. Okay, Scott, your big takeaway, what does it tell us and what's the big takeaway?
Well, I sort of somewhat in agreement. I think the story of the campaign is indisputably Doug Ford. I mean, they ran a perfect campaign, but more importantly, beginning about a year ago, he and his team recognized that coming out of COVID, he had an opportunity to fundamentally redefine his relationship with Ontario voters, and he did. He became Uncle Doug. He became the optimistic populist, not the negative grievance populist. And he built his campaign around being premier, yes, growth, we're going to build. And he brought people in. He stole every other party's thunder. He took votes from the NDP in the labor movement. He took votes from Liberals all across the 905 and elsewhere. And he built an even bigger majority than he had in a sweep election. There's no way around it. Doug Ford is the story of this campaign, and he just looms over top of Ontario like a colossus. Okay, so Tom, I'd love your take. What you think the story is? Almost historically low voter turnout. Well, Andrea Horwath and Del Duca stepping down. Lots happened here with this big Ford victory. What's your takeaway?
Well, you're right. I mean, that low voter turnout particularly hurt the NDP. Already the 18 to 30-year-olds who tend to be very strongly NDP tend to vote less. And that obviously hurt Andrea Horwath. But her result, becoming the official opposition for the second time in a row by historical standards, that's a great result for the NDP in Ontario. But Andrea has decided nonetheless to step down. She had already given some hint that that's the way she'd be going. And it's going to be a real Donnybrook to see who's able to succeed her in Ontario, because of course they have, for the reasons that were just given both by Melanie and Scott, the NDP saw a lot of their working class vote drift away to the Conservatives. This is not new. We know about orange-blue switchers. They skip right over the Liberal Party, but it's something that hurt them in particular in the North. When you see someone like Gilles Bisson, a 30-year MPP, losing his Timmins riding, you can imagine that somebody like Charlie Angus is very worried when he's looking at a result like that this morning. Well, you're right about that. The word that Doug Ford used, Mel, was a new coalition. And the question is it a permanent new coalition and a permanent new realignment? And what
You tweeted out something I thought on election night really interesting. You said Doug Ford is now the new leader of the Conservative movement in Canada. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, Doug Ford won in places where Conservatives have not been competitive in generations. He is, whether people like it or not, the most successful Conservative politician in the country right now. And he may not hold on to the title of being the leader of the Conservative movement past this leadership race, perhaps, but he's the leader right now. He's the most successful Conservative politician that we have. He's won 2 majorities in Ontario, which is not
And what
not at all
message
an easy
does that
thing to do.
send, Mel, to Conservatives on the federal scene?
So I think that it needs to send a message at one, the expanding the voter coalition to include the working class is certainly an essential thing that we need to be looking at doing across the country, first and foremost. But second, his style, where he's not an ideologue, he cares more about like everyday people as opposed to proving his conservative bona fides on a daily basis. I think that is something that we need to take away from this as well, that we need to drop a lot of the partisanship, a lot of the opposing for the sake of opposing things, and instead be solutions oriented, which is something that Doug Ford's always been really good at.
All right. Put on your asbestos suit there, Scott Reid, and sift through the hot ashes for the Liberals and the NDP. What do you find? What do they need to do?
Well, I agree with Tom. I think, frankly, if you look at the arc of this campaign, the result for the NDP is actually not that bad. I mean, they held on to official opposition. They defended in the 416. They now have a geographic base of seats that look like they were under attack from the Liberals mid-campaign, even late campaign. So, they've got something to build on and build from. The Liberals, obviously, an enormously disappointing result, not what they expected. Performed beneath what polls told us they were going to achieve, both in terms of popular vote and in terms of seats. It wasn't really a darn bit different than the 2018 outcome. So what does the Liberal Party need to do? I think it comes down to 3 words: leadership, leadership, leadership. Del Duca is gone. He did not connect with Ontario voters. They must find a leader who has the capacity to excite voters, to connect with voters, to say, listen, here's the alternative to the government, and here's why you got to follow our band and our music.
Well, the official party status lost. That's financially really difficult to create a diamond out of that. Tom, you're starting to get in the shade in the sun there, so I'm going to ask you to throw some shade and what this means here. Throw some shade, if you will, on the future of the progressive movement in Ontario when Doug Ford is the colossus astride that province right now.
Well, I think that you're spot on with that analysis of Doug Ford's role, because I don't think we're witnessing a sea change in Ontario politics that will carry on necessarily beyond Doug Ford. If the Conservatives in the future go back to someone who's more like a Bay Street banking type than a Doug Ford, they won't be able to hold on to those workers. I've been at this game for a long time. The Conservative campaign was one of the best I've ever seen. Frustrating as a commentator and somebody who's observing these things, because you would have loved to see them out there more, but they knew what they were doing. I also think that Andrea Horwath knew what she was doing. I used to criticize her at the beginning and saying, hey, she's running for opposition leader, but she clearly knew that she had no chance to win. And she said, look, you need somebody to stand up strong to Ford, who's going to win, and the NDP is that party. So they did lose a number of seats, but they've still got a very strong group. But you're right, they have to be super careful in the immediate suburbs around Toronto, because that's where they paid a heavy price.
What is the message for Justin Trudeau, Scott?
Oh, I think the message for Justin Trudeau is that he's going to get a populist opponent in the next election. I don't think it's going to be Doug Ford. I think it's going to be Pierre Poilievre, and it's a contrast to Doug Ford. We've been talking about it. The message is, that was Ontario, man. The federal politics, it's going to be populism of grievance politics, not populism of inclusion politics. And so I think, Justin Trudeau, what's the lesson? I think he's going to want to draw those Doug Ford voters. How does Justin Trudeau win again and beat Pierre Poilievre? He wins the seats in 905 that Doug Ford won last night. That's going to be the game for him.
All right, man, fascinating election. Tom Mulcair, Scott Reid, Melanie Paradis, great to have the 3 of you on the program.